Hey McKendree, it's Chef Julie from Wednesday Night Suppers. If you know anything about me, you know that I spend a lot of time in the grocery store. Well, I'm trying to do a little better these days, and I'm not running there every day like I used to. So I'm trying something new, and I'm having subscribed to a service that brings me my produce, just delivers it to my house once a week. And the key thing is with this is I never know what's going to be in that produce basket. So I want to show you what I got this week, and then we're going to talk about some ways to take any one or all of these vegetables and turn it into something else, so you will do better about eating your vegetables. So what I have in this week's box that was delivered to my house is I have a butternut squash, I have some red leaf kale, I have some Brussels sprouts, a couple of onions, a yellow squash and a zucchini squash, I have a red pepper, some potatoes, and these really nice looking cherry tomatoes. And then for fruit, I actually got some of that. I have some oranges, some lemons, and some pears. So let's get started on showing you some ways to make these very delicious. Now there are several ways to cook these vegetables to make them taste really good. We can saute them, we can fry them, we can blanch them, we can mash them, we can bake them. We can add in all kinds of ways to ratchet it up and make them taste even better. But my favorite way of preparing vegetables is roasting. And I'm going to show you which vegetables I've chosen out of this basket and why I've chosen those and what I'm going to do with those roasted vegetables. Now these vegetables I've chosen from my basket because they're my favorite. They're easy to roast, they roast in the same amount of time, and they're very versatile. We're going to do a number of things with these. So what I've chosen is zucchini, yellow squash, onions, red bell pepper, and tomatoes. I just think that makes a really nice combination of vegetables. You can do some things with them. I'm going to show you what you can do with them. Now, one thing about roasting, all vegetables pretty much roast at the same temperature, about 400 degrees. The amount of time you're going to roast the vegetables will vary somewhat. A vegetable like the hard squash, like the butternut squash or an acorn squash, is going to take a little longer, closer to 40 minutes. Something like asparagus is only going to take you about 12 to 15 minutes. And these vegetables that I've chosen take about 30 minutes. So now I could have added some garlic, or I could have added some fresh or dried herbs, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do with these, and so I just left them plain. Olive oil, salt, and pepper. That's all you need. So because I don't really have a plan for these tonight, I'm going to be putting them in the refrigerator in a container and then taking some out and using them along the week as I have a desire to do so. So what's some things I could do with these vegetables? I could make an omelet with these, or I could put them in a quiche. That'd be really good. I could add it into pasta, and a good accompaniment to that would be goat cheese. Just save a little of your pasta water, add these veggies into the pasta with a little of that water and some cheese, and you are good to go. Fresh basil won't hurt either. You can eat them over polenta or quinoa if you like that and you're trying to be a little healthier. Or we could make a pasta salad with orzo or regular pasta. Or we could put them on top of a salad. And the vinegar that I really like with roasted vegetables is sherry wine vinegar. So if you haven't tried that before, just make a simple vinaigrette, and when the vegetables come out of the oven, just pour a little of that on the vegetables. It will really absorb that vinaigrette. So that's a really good thing to try. So you can see I've taken these vegetables and put them in a container. They'll go in my refrigerator, and then I'll pull them out sometime during the week and make one of those dishes that we talked about earlier. I'm really a fan of the pasta with the goat cheese and some maybe some pine nuts on that, and some fresh basil. So I'll probably be doing that one. Another thing you can think about with roasted vegetables, you can always make a soup. So if you have vegetables left, go ahead and put some chicken broth or some vegetable broth with these vegetables. Take your food processor or take your immersion blender and whirl that up. And then add in just whatever seasonings and flavors you like. I'm thinking about that basket right now, and I'm thinking about that butternut squash. That would make an excellent soup, and I would pair that with the pears that are also in my basket. If I wanted to, I could add in a little bit of sweet potatoes or some carrots, whiz all that together with chicken broth and maybe a touch of cream, and that would be an excellent soup. So now I want to show you some other enhancements to the vegetables besides what I've showed you so far. So I'm going to put this aside. I want to talk about compound butter. Vegetables and butter are a marriage made in heaven, so there are ways to even get that more tasty than just plain butter. So what I have is a softened stick of butter. I have some herbs that I've gotten from my garden, and you can use dried herbs, you can fresh herbs. I have about 3 tablespoons of fresh herbs. You'll use about half that amount if you go with dried herbs. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that butter and just kind of mash it and put those herbs in like this and smish it around. And then you've got something that's really going to be great melted on top of roasted or frozen or even canned vegetables. Now you can do a number of things with this. You can make a garlic butter. You can add that in besides the herbs or in place of the herbs. A little bit of pesto is really good in some softened butter. I might add the zest of a lemon, or I might add the zest of an orange, this way. Or something else that I've done is sun-dried tomatoes into butter. Now when you make the butter, what you can do, if you don't want to use it right away, is you can put it in the freezer and then bring little amounts out and just melt it right on top of those vegetables. By the way, this is also really good on top of chicken or steak. So that's one method we're going to use with butter. Another method you can use with butter, I'm not going to demonstrate it because it would take a few minutes, is to make a brown butter. Brown butter just really has a unique flavor all its own. What you'll need to do, and you don't want to walk away from this, is you'll put a stick of butter in a small saucepan and let it go for a little bit on medium heat, let it foam, and when you start to see some brown in the bottom, which means that the milk solids are beginning to brown, it's going to taste really nutty and different. Then you just pour that over your vegetable, and that is another avenue you have to create deliciousness in your vegetables. Now something we do when we are preparing food at the shelter, the children's shelter, or even on Wednesday nights when we kind of have a budget that we need to stay within and we have to use canned vegetables or frozen, we still have ways that we can make those taste good. We can use garlic powder or onion powder or caramelized onions. Now you just put some chopped onions or some sliced onions with a little bit of butter or a little bit of olive oil in a saucepan. Put it on medium heat, medium or medium-low heat, kind of watch it, and it's going to, over time, in about 20 to 30 minutes, you're going to have a really sweet, soft onion, and it's going to be a really nice enhancement to those canned vegetables. You can also use, with these canned vegetables, or frozen vegetables like frozen broccoli. I have some green beans here, and I have some black-eyed peas. Just some sauteed, regular diced onion. You know, you can use any type you like of that. You can use yellow onion, white onion, or Veggies, which are my favorite. And then if you have bacon or ham or something like that, go ahead and saute a little bit of that and add that into your canned vegetables, especially if you want to have kind of a southern style vegetable. So these are a few things that we can do, and there's 2 more methods I want to show to enhance your vegetable consumption. You know, something I really like to add to frozen or fresh vegetables, and even canned vegetables, are breadcrumbs. And not just any breadcrumbs, but toasted breadcrumbs, and then we'll add in a couple things to make those taste and smell really good. Do you remember on the meatball show, if you saw that one, that I talked about saving your breadcrumbs in the freezer, your fresh breadcrumbs, and then we can use them for meatballs, but we can also use them as a topping for vegetables. So what I have here is put about a tablespoon of olive oil in a nonstick pan, and I have about half a cup of fresh breadcrumbs that I pulled from the freezer and thawed a little bit. And all I'm going to do is toast these breadcrumbs. Now, I'm planning to add in some lemon zest because I'm going to put these on top of broccoli, and I think broccoli is really good with lemon breadcrumbs. But there's some other add-ins you could use too. Another one that I really like is with the olive oil, put a little bit of minced garlic and get that kind of garlicky oil tasting, and also add some red pepper flakes if you like a little heat. And once you get those cooking for about 20 seconds, then you add in the breadcrumbs, and then you start to toast those. Now, something else that you can do with these breadcrumbs is to, after they come out, is to mix them with a little Parmesan cheese before you put them on top of the vegetables. But we need just a couple of minutes. I'm going to turn that up. You have to be a little careful. You don't want to burn your breadcrumbs, but you do want a little bit of crispiness in that. And that gives a little texture difference and really ups those frozen vegetables to a new level. Also, what I think I'm going to do is add in a little bit of salt and pepper, because we want that to taste as good as we can. So a little bit of salt, some fresh ground pepper, because I like that. And now those breadcrumbs are beginning to come together. Brown a little bit. You can also use butter if you don't want to use olive oil, but I think I've mentioned butter quite a few times tonight, so I'm opting for olive oil. All right, and the last couple of minutes on that, I'm going to zest in, and this came from my vegetable basket, remember? I have lemon in there. I'm going to put in a little bit of lemon zest. And when the lemon zest hits the heat of that pan, it really is going to make that lemon come alive. And the breadcrumbs will absorb that lemon. All right. Okay, those are nice and toasty. I can smell the lemon zest. And what I have over here is some broccoli. It's frozen, and we just actually put it in the microwave. You can do that. You can blanch it. You can steam it, and with a little salt. And now I'm just going to take those crumbs, and I'm just going to sprinkle those over the broccoli. So if you're trying to get your kids to eat a little bit more in the vegetable department, you might try some breadcrumbs. And like I said, you can try a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top of that, because I think kids are really crazy about cheese, and we can bribe them that way if we need to. So there you go. Now, I know I've talked a lot about vegetables, but there's another method I want to tell you about because it's one of my favorites, and that is a vegetable gratin. Now, really all a gratin is a blanched or cooked vegetable that's put into a cream sauce, a bechamel sauce, a cheese sauce, and then baked in a casserole or a gratin dish, and put in the oven with some cheese or some breadcrumbs or a combination of that on top. So I want to make for you what I call my cheater spinach gratin. I have done this one for many years, and the reason I call it cheaters is because my kids actually ate this and they asked for it. So it's only 4 ingredients besides your salt and pepper. I'm going to make this for you real quick and show you what the finished product looks like. And if you have kids, try this one and see if they won't eat it. So the first ingredient we have is butter. I've got about 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to get that melted on top of the stove here. And I'm going to add into that 6 ounces of cream cheese that I've cubed just to make it a little bit easier. It will melt quicker. The idea is to melt the butter and the cream cheese together. So I'm going to get that going on top of the stove. This really won't take very long. So I'm going to stir that around. I've also have 2 12-ounce packages of frozen leaf spinach that I have drained and drained well. You will need to do that. Now you can use fresh spinach for this. Of course you can. This would be delicious. But if you're like me, you need to have a few things out of the freezer that you can count on. Frozen spinach is one of those that I always have in the freezer. So let me just get this a little more incorporated. Okay, as you see here, I've got the butter melted, and I've got the cream cheese that is beginning to incorporate with the butter. So now all I have to do is plop in that well-drained spinach and stir that around a bit. There we go. It's starting to get creamy and come together. I think I tried this casserole maybe about 30 years ago. It was served to me, and I just thought for so few ingredients it was great and a good cheat. Now, one thing I want to do is add in some salt because I have not salted that spinach. And that's going to need some. Your cream cheese and butter, I did use a salted butter, and the cream cheese has some. So you just want to add enough, not too much, but enough. And really, when it comes together like this, you are ready for the casserole dish. So I'm going to cut the heat. I have a small casserole dish or gratin dish that I've sprayed, and I'm going to just put this spinach in there, kind of spread it out a little bit. And you can double, triple, quadruple this recipe. Really easy to do. Actually, this is just going to be enough for cameraman Steve and myself. He'll probably eat about 3/4 of it, and I'll have about 1/4 of it, but it's all right. Vegetables, right? And now we've got that smoothed out. And then the only thing I have to do is put some Parmesan cheese. Now, you can put breadcrumbs, or you can do a combination of cheese and breadcrumbs. You can use a different cheese if your kids like, cheddar or anything else. Just pop that on there. And there's no particular amount on this. It's whatever you like. Most of us like a little cheese on there. All right, I've got this Cheater's gratin ready. And I put Parmesan cheese as much as I like, which is always a lot. So this is only going to be popped into a 350-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until the cheese gets kind of melty, and I will show you what this looks like in just a minute. Okay, it's 20 minutes later and I pulled this gratin out of the oven. So I hope you enjoy some of these vegetable ideas. I hope you'll use them and stay healthy. Until next time, peace be with you. Until then.
Until then what?
Until then, until when? What did I say? What do I start? That didn't make any sense. Until then. Duh. Until... Quit! Let me stand here with this gratin all night. Okay, it's 20 minutes later, and I pulled my gratin out of the oven. I've got to finish this. Oh my gosh!
You only got like 2 minutes left.
Please stop. Hurry up and talk. Not looking at you.
Here we go.
If you wouldn't laugh, I wouldn't laugh.
Okay.
Okay, it's 20 minutes later.
No, wait. We gotta get a good shot of that.
20 minutes later.
That doesn't help.
No.
I'm not laughing.
You're doing like this. And then you're walking away. Just let me, I'm just gonna go. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's 20 minutes later and my gratin is out of the oven. And this is gonna be great for dinner tonight.
Oh, this is not good.
Okay, splice it.
It's filming. We'll just assume your focus is good.
Alright. Okay.
So whenever you can get your composure,
Okay.
make it happen.
Alright. Okay, it's 20 minutes later and I pulled this gratin.
What the? And you're not right.
Step out on the porch, seriously. Get on the porch for a minute.
Well, let me go talk to the birds. Hold on a second. I need to let it on.
Tell me when you're upstairs. Okay, it's 20 minutes later and I pulled this gratin. I can't get through it. I can't get through it.
You gotta wrap this up.
It's 20 minutes later. Oh gosh. You're still on the stairs. You gotta disappear. Okay, it's 20 minutes later and I pulled this gratin out of the oven.